Well, at the end of the day, Lynn was asked to leave the property, which he did. Um, the piece of metal that is on the inside of the firebox, so your firebox is like this, and then there's an outer sheet that you see. The water's in between this. The piece that is on the inside over top of the firebox is called the crown sheet. Lynn actually built a big enough fire in that thing that he did what we call boiling dry. Even though it didn't have any steam pressure, he actually warped the crown sheet. Effectively meaning that if that traction engine is to ever run again, it's looking at about $50,000 to $100,000 worth of boiler work before it can ever steam again. And so here we go again with Lenny ruining yet another piece of history, which is terrible. The only thing that could have made that worse is if it had water in it and he had boiled it dry, you would have had a full-on boiler explosion. Now, we'll get to Lenny and children, but not quite what you're expecting. Quick, somebody give me a time check, please, while we're sitting here not doing much. Give me a time check. God, this thing is itchy as a motherfucker. Bought this thing for $1. Not a good idea. Anyway, oh cool, people will show up and they'll get right into the story time and they don't have to listen to my bullshit. Anyway, so there are two people. There's one person that I would like to see on the farms at some point, but he's not as stupid as Lynn. And his name is Jim Tyrock. Well, Lynn kind of did what Jim did. Now, Lynn really likes model trains. No, he's not trying to fuck them, but Lynn really likes model trains. And for those of you that don't look that stuff up, model trains can get really, really expensive. And I mean really expensive. And so you can imagine a lot of the younger members of the hobby that collect model trains, the only ones that they really get are at Christmas. And they're usually really high dollar engines, because it's Christmas. I mean, it's what a kid asks for on Christmas, right? You know, they've got a sound chip, they've got lights, you know, they're 100% real models of the real thing. They wait all year to get them. I've got it not on good authority. I've seen the screenshots for myself, and I'll be posting them at some point when I can dig up those emails again, of Lynn successfully, a few times, basically committing, what's the technical term for it? Is it mail fraud or whatever? He said he was going to trade this kid some, you know, like 2 or 3 locomotives for this one because he really liked that one, and he traded this kid 2 or 3 other engines for it. Kid sends the engine. Kid doesn't get anything back. He's blocked on Facebook. And of course, Lynn did it using a puppet account. So, what are you going to do? Lynn has done that several times. I know of several occasions in which Lynn has gone to, I don't know the name of the model railroad club, guys, I'm sorry, I didn't do that much research, but I know that he's gone to several different model railroad clubs and just effectively fucked everything up. Just messing with wiring because he thinks he knows everything, and frying locomotives, or messing up signals or track. He's banned from 2 or 3 different model railroad clubs that I know of, because he has a bad habit of putting things in his pockets and walking away with them. From locomotives to track to cars to digital control systems. Anything he can put in his pocket, he will walk out with it. And, you know, I actually have to give Lynn credit. It's not like he did it all in 1 week. He did it over a long period of time and nobody really noticed. But when they did notice, Lynn's the only one with sticky fingers. And the way he actually got caught, he was posting some of it on a Facebook group. And one of the other members was like, hey, isn't that my engine? Oh, no, it's not. I bought it on eBay. But that's my custom painted locomotive with a railroad that's named after my wife painted on it for my fantasy layout in my basement. I bought it on eBay. These are untruths. For shame. Now, God, I've got so many fucking stories. There's my same buddy from NS that was a police officer told me a story that he heard from a crew. That there were some witnesses, but they don't want to be identified because they're members of the rail fan community and they've already been, chased after by Lynn, and they don't quite want their name out there. So if they want to come on the farms and do it, tell the whole story, then, they will. If not, sorry, I can't deliver everything. But, how many of you know what a heritage unit is? A locomotive that has been painted into an old paint scheme. So, like, let's say American Airlines buys a 747 and they paint it into Pan Am paint. That's basically it. I mean, it's like putting a new thing into old paint, just for the fuck with it. There's an old story about Lynn not getting a horn show, which is essentially where the engineer blows the horn at you as you go past the camera, and him basically following the train along from crossing to crossing, flipping them off because he didn't get a horn show, and the people at the crossing that were one down from him actually did. Just stupid shit like that. There's so many stories like that, but the problem is, I have a hard time telling whether these are all stories or whether these are the same story being repeated with different details. So that's kind of the shitty end of it. Because with Lynn, it's like, he's stupid enough to do it, but how much of it was really the internet running away with it, or how much of it really happened? I lean more toward that it happened, just because I think Lynn is that fucking insane. I don't know. You be the judge. Then we will talk about live steam. There's a website called Discover Live Steam. Now, live steam is the most expensive and ungodly hobby that ever existed, but it is a hell of a lot of fun. And essentially what it is they build scale models of steam engines. Like, standard gauge in the U.S., the width between the rails is 4 feet, 8.5 inches. So these engines run on a track that's 7.5 or 7.25. Somebody that's a rail fan, help me out here, whatever the 7.5 inch gauge, and you can ride on them. But these engines cost like $50,000 a pop or more. They're really expensive, and usually you have to machine build them. You get them in a kit. You get them in a kit, and they're real projects. They're real working steam engines. You can ride on them. They're powerful. They're cool. There's a group down in Nessa, you know the one I'm talking about. Can you help me out here? The group that's down in Georgia, south of Chattanooga. They run through the woods. They've got a lot of hills and stuff. I think it might be Canton. I don't know. Somebody had an engine for sale down there. Whatever. Well, Lynn tried to do the same mail MAIL scam thing that he'd done with children, except this time with a locomotive that weighs a couple of 100 pounds. And Lynn got a reply back that, they want money first, and he was going to have to come pick it up. But you can't fit something that big in a box unless you take it apart. And if you took it apart, Lynn probably couldn't put it back together if there was a video showing him how to do it. Just telling the truth. I mean, I don't mean to sound mean, but it's the truth. Lynn got on the live steam forum and proceeded to chew this poor man out for days and days. And originally, people thought he had a valid point because Lynn didn't present all the facts. And this guy that he's trying to sell stuff or trying to buy stuff off of is like 80-something years old. He's getting out of the hobby. He can't do anything with the engine anymore, so he has to get out of the hobby. Well, finally, somebody from the club down there, who's about trying to remember how old he is without naming him. Nessa, do you remember the guy that came to Chattanooga a lot, that went down there? Whatever his name was. Fuck it, it doesn't matter. Younger guy got on there, and he didn't put it on the forum, but he went on and messaged the moderator. He must have been somewhere about 25, 30, an adult, you know. And basically said, yeah, this Lynn guy's full of shit. You know, he went on and said all this shit. Well, they pulled Lynn off the forum. They pulled the thing off the forum. And they called the old guy and essentially told him, yeah, don't worry about it, try and go on selling it. It's shit like that pisses me off. Now I'm going to tell my personal stories about Leonard Shaner. So everybody, grab your belt, pull it tight. You don't want to get ass raped, because this is a humdinger. Personally, outside of sock puppet accounts, I have had very few interactions with Leonard Shaner before I came to the farms. The reason for this is he's in Pennsylvania. I'm where I am, and I never had any reason to talk to the guy, right? Well, Lynn got a hold of me one day. I had been posting in, what group was it? I think it was G-Scale Model Railroading or something or other, something like that. And I had been posting about this new engine I had gotten. And at the time, I was like 15. I'm old enough now to buy these, so that should give you an idea of the time difference between now and then. Sorry, I'm kind of I'm not used to talking to myself or in front of a crowd, guys, so I'm sorry if I'm screwing up and stuttering words and not making this as entertaining as I wanted it to. I didn't write anything down. I didn't plan this out. I just decided I'd do this. And so, guys, I'm sorry if this is turning into boring, incoherent stupidity. That's my fault. I apologize. But I'm gonna smoke a cigarette. I'm gonna back up here and I'll tell y'all some more stories. And the reason that I'm going completely off camera for this is, number one, I have to smoke a cigarette for this because I don't want to admit how stupid I almost was.